Good morning. Praise the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Grace, peace, and mercy to all the saints worldwide. In Jesus' name, amen. Happy Sabbath. This teaching this morning, brothers and sisters, is entitled Tithing. So I did a lesson previously before entitled Tithes. But going back over some things, and y'all will see as each Sabbath comes to pass, if the Lord will, I'm going to be bringing out some more stuff, some more truth, because, you know, for a short time there I was getting comfortable in what I believed was universally agreed upon. And as I went back and searched these scriptures, I'm finding things that certain people are saying just don't line up with the book. Certain things that people doing just don't line up with the book. And it got to be called out, plain and simple. And if the Lord will, hey, I'm willing to be used for righteousness' sake. So when it come down to tithing, brothers and sisters, it is biblically inaccurate to say that that's what we're doing when we giving money to some of these congregations, because that's not what the tithe is. And I'm doing this lesson a second time to prove that through the word what a tithe is, and how some of these verses that people use to try to justify calling 10% of your money every week a tithe, that's not true. That's not the truth. A tithe, according to the book, is a specific thing, and I'm going to prove that through the word. I'm not going to give you my feelings and emotions. I'm not going to tell you what I think. I'm going to tell you what the book say. And what you do with that after you've been shown what the word say, that's on you. But I will say this: even before I knew I was an Israelite, I never gave money to no church, even when I was dealing with the Sunday churches, because it didn't make sense to me. And when I found out I was a Hebrew, and I'm going to some of these Sabbath classes, and I'm seeing that they asking for tithes, so basically they playing Sunday church just on the Lord's Sabbath day. And it's not just because they asking for tithes, it's a whole bunch of other stuff that they doing too that's wicked. Plain and simple. And I'm not calling names because this ain't about that. If it come to that, then hey, so be it. But right now we're just dealing with a false doctrine. And like I said, the more Sabbaths come, you know, if the Lord will, He allow me to see, you know, some future Sabbaths, hey, I'm going to keep, there's some more stuff I got coming that I'm going to bring out. Because the saints need to be warned. The saints need to be on alert. They need to be understanding in these scriptures. I seen how people was up in arms, and even myself in the beginning, probably for like a week and a half, I was up in arms about what Brother Reggie said. And I seen so many people go up in arms about what that brother said. But when you go back and you search the scriptures, but see, many people don't do that. They cling to a certain thing that they favorite teachers say, and then they just stick with that. They don't never go back into God's word and find out for themselves. And that's another reason why I'm doing this lesson again, is because we need to stop just believing whatever we hear. We need to be wise in these holy scriptures, like our master was, if Jesus is really your master. And I ain't talking about white Jesus, I'm talking about the Negro Jesus, the real Jesus. The name is not the problem, but not to digress. So we're going to start this in Proverbs 4 and verse 18. Sisters, please cover your heads. Brothers, uncover your heads. I think that's 1 Corinthians 11, 2 Corinthians 11, 2 through 16. Let me check. Yeah, 1 Corinthians 11, 2 through 16. is the reference as to why women need to cover their heads, brothers need to uncover their heads. And this ain't a New Testament thing because it's in the law too. But we're starting this in Proverbs 4 and verse 18. Again, the title of this lesson is Tithing. And we're just going to get an understanding from the word. We're not going to add. We're not going to take away. You know, we're just going to read the book. Proverbs 4 and 18, it say, but the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. In other words, that means if you walking in righteousness by faith in Jesus and you keeping God's commandments, the closer we get to the end, your walk should be progressing, not degressing. You should be getting better and better with your walk. You should be getting more knowledge, more understanding, more wisdom. You should be more humble, more patient, more gentle, more good, have more faith, demonstrate more love, be a better servant to God and to your fellow man. You know, we should be able to understand deeper things about God's word and not stuck on the milk. And we've been in the truth 20 and 30 years stuck on milk. We're supposed to not be afraid to get out here in these streets and preach salvation to Israel. And the strangers too. I ain't discounting the strangers, but I'm saying the focus is Israel. Wake up, Jacob. But the book say the closer we get to the end, the righteous going to shine brighter and brighter. But then you still got people that cling to these certain doctrines that they heard because they don't want to offend nobody by listening to the Most High. If the Most High is showing you his truth and his word, and your preacher or your teacher have told you something contrary, and God is trying to talk to you and tell you, look, this is what my words say, and you like, well, but I don't want to go against what I've been taught. Look, sometimes you got to do that. Because then you put yourself in a situation, are you a respecter of man or are you a lover of God? Do you fear the Most High? I know what I choose, but what do you choose? Let's go to Genesis chapter 4 and verse 1. Genesis 4 and verse 1, because sometimes they'll run here and they'll say, well, see, Cain and Abel, they gave tithes and offerings. That's not what the Bible said, though. That's what you're interpreting that it said. That's not what it said. Genesis 4 and verse 1, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. This is after the fall of man in the Garden of Eden. They get kicked out, okay? And they wasn't far away from the Garden of Eden because they were still able to bring sacrifices to the Most High to show their repentance. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And this is true for all of us. All of us, every human. And unto thee shall be his desire. Sin is trying to dominate us. That's why when we get in Christ and we start having faith in him and keeping the law, the royal law, that's why we got to master sin. We got to overcome ourselves. Enemy number one, us. And it said, and unto you will be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him, or you will rule over him. That's what this walk is about. This self-denial, not self-gratification, not doing things that we find deemable. Denying ourselves, picking up our cross every day and following after Jesus. Jesus is the just one, and he's the justifier of all of us that believe in him. It's not about how good you keep God's commandments. It's about how strong is your faith. Your faith, your faith inevitably will cause you to keep God's commandments, but we can't boast in ourselves. It's by grace that we're going to be saved, not of works. I ain't saying don't keep the commandments. I'm saying don't get hype on how good you keeping the commandments, lest you boast against Christ, the Savior and the Redeemer. Not to digress, brothers and sisters. Verse 8, and Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him, right? Killed him. Why? Because Abel offered a better offering to the Lord than Cain did, so he was jealous. Let's go to Genesis 14. It didn't say that they tied. God he know how to use words perfectly, because he teaches creation, angels and man, how to use words perfectly. So God is not, he's not confused. If he meant to say tithing, he would have said tithing. Or he would have clued us in somewhere else in the book and said Cain and Abel offered tithes to me. He didn't say that. Genesis 14 and verse 17. And it say, and the king of Sodom went out to meet him. This is dealing with Abram, right? And he's meeting Melchizedek. Now they go here too, and they'll say, well, see, Abraham gave tithes to Melchizedek. It do say that in the book of Hebrews, but we're going to look at that too. We're going to look at that, because that's even taken out of context. So it say, and the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer and of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shavah, which is the king's dale. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. This is Christ. And blessed him, and said, blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed, because, look, everything belonged to God, brothers and sisters. Everything, even the breath we breathe, man. What do God need from us? Except what he desires from us, which he told us through the book, through the law and the testimony. He said, I want your obedience. I want you to show me gratitude, thanksgiving. Where did the Lord say he want your cash money? Where? We're going to read that scripture where they run to in Proverbs, where it say, honor the Lord with the first fruit of your substance. And they say, see, that's your net, not your gross, or however they say that. That's not what he's talking about, man. How do you honor the Most High with the first fruit of your increase, with your substance? You don't be selfish with it. You got money. You got money. Look, and there's some poor folks around you. Go take care of them poor folks, man. You don't need to have no middleman. You don't need to give your money to a congregation and have the congregation go feed the poor for you. You do it yourself. We're going to read it. The Lord said, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Don't sound a trumpet and all this type of stuff, right? So it says in verse 20, and blessed be the Most High God, which have delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all. Did it say, brothers and sisters, that he gave Melchizedek tithes of his money? Because Abraham was wealthy. Or did it not just say he came back from the war, right? And he gave Melchizedek a 10% of all the possessions that he got from war. That's what we just read. I didn't add, I didn't take away. That's what we just read. So where's they getting this idea, making it seem like Abraham went in his pocket and gave Melchizedek 10% of his money? Because that ain't what we read. Let's go to chapter 28, Genesis 28, and verse 20. Genesis 28 and verse 20. And it reads, and Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if God will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God, and this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be God's house. And of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the 10th unto thee. Lord, everything that you give me, I'm going to dedicate 10% to you. I'm going to give you 10% back. Question: did the Most High Did he tell Jacob to give him 10%, or did Jacob this like a free will offering? Did the Most High tell Cain and Abel to offer an offering to him, or did they do that because they chose to do it? See, we gotta let the Holy Spirit be the teacher. He the substitute teacher right now, till the true teacher, till the Master himself come back. That's why we don't need all these interpretations in this book and that book. And look, just get the King James Bible. Make sure you got the Holy Ghost with you, the angel of the Most High, your guardian angel. He's assigned to you. And let the Comforter open your brain so you can understand this book. Let us be humble and not proud. Let's not cling to something that we heard years ago and we don't never go back and fact check it. Now, certain things we don't have to really heavily investigate no more because we know it's false. For example, I'm not going to go back and research whether or not there's really a secret rapture because that's easily disproven. You see what I'm saying? But something else, and I ain't going to mention it just to, I ain't going to mention it, but I'm going to bring it out. You'll see. You'll see. If the Lord will, I'm going to bring it out because it got to come out. I was talking to some saints recently, and I told them, I said, I've been suppressing it in the name of peace. I haven't wanted to bring what I wanted to bring out because I'm trying to have peace with everybody. So I thought. But the Lord keeps bringing it back up again, saying, I want you to teach this. I want you to say this. And I'm saying, well, Lord, I just want to be used for righteousness. I don't want to be used for wickedness. Let's go to Leviticus 27. But the Lord keep reassuring me, because I check myself, brothers and sisters. I check myself on a daily basis. You need to check yourself on a daily basis. I'm sorry for the loud noise, but you need to check yourself on a daily basis too. We can't let nobody deceive us. Again, I'm not calling names. I'm going at that doctrine. To teach people to tithe is biblically inaccurate. And we're going to see that. Leviticus 27 and verse 30. Leviticus 27 and verse 30. And it says, this is after the Lord then established the Levitical priesthood. Okay, this is when Israel is still in the wilderness, before they going into the promised land. Okay, Moses still alive at this time and all that. Verse 30, it say, and all the tithe of the land, the tithe of the land. Now, yes, it is true that money grows on trees because money is paper, and paper comes from trees. Okay, but we're going to see something. And all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, it is the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord. And if a man will at all redeem aught of his tithes, he shall add thereto the 5th part thereof. So the Lord's saying, if for your tithing, I want you to tithe to me. Right? The Lord is saying, I want you to tithe to me because it's holy to me. But we're going to find out why, brothers and sisters. There's a reason why. And he says, if you try to, you owe the Lord 10%, right? He said, if you try to take back from that 10%, you're going to owe me a 5th part. You're going to add a 5th part to that, right? 32. And concerning the tithe of the herd or of the flock, even of whatsoever passeth under the rod, the 10th shall be holy unto the Lord. He shall not search whether it be good or bad, neither shall he change it. And if he change it at all, then both it and the change thereof shall be holy. It shall not be redeemed. Okay? These are the commandments which the Lord commanded Moses for the children of Israel in Mount Sinai. Right? So he said, if you try to take back from that 10%, you're going to add a 5th to that. Okay? So you're going to add more than what you already owed initially. We're going to keep going. Let's go to Numbers 18. And I'm going to explain from what I understand, and I'm not claiming to be a know-it-all, The Most High alone has all knowledge, all wisdom, and understanding. Praise the Most High. I'm dirt, and I'm just trying to be the most humble dirt that I can be. Okay? And I think that my fruit speak for itself. But towards the end, I will explain what I understand as to why these camps be asking for tithes. Because to me, it's pretty crystal clear. I don't know if you can see it, but to me, it's pretty crystal clear. And it's very simple on what could be done in exchange for what's being done right now. But we'll get there. Numbers 18 and verse 20. And it says, "And the Lord spake unto Aaron, Thou shalt have no inheritance in their land, neither shalt thou have any part among them. I am thy part and thine inheritance among the children of Israel." Okay, so the Most High telling the priesthood, Levites, look, you're not going to be working the field. I'm going to be your inheritance. Okay, so don't worry about having to till the ground. You do my services in my tabernacle, okay, which became the tent. I mean, it was the tent at first, and then it became the temple, okay? And the Levites was to be solely focused on that. Now, we're going to find out, why did the Lord institute the tithe, okay? What is it really about? So it says in verse 21, "And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in Israel for an inheritance." He said he gave the Levites the tenth in Israel for an inheritance, right? We're going to find out what constitutes the tenth. What are you talking about? What constitutes that? We're going to find out, brothers and sisters. It say, "For their service which they serve, even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. Neither must the children of Israel henceforth come nigh the tabernacle of the congregation, lest they bear sin and die." It was the Levites' job on a daily basis to kill the sacrifices of the people, to atone for their sins. It was the high priest's job every once a year on the Day of Atonement in the was that seventh what is it? Because I don't want to say it wrong, so give me 1 second. He say in the 7th month on the 10th day, right? The Day of Atonement. So the high priest had to go in there in the 7th month on the 10th day to offer the sacrifices for the Day of Atonement, right? So the Lord wanted the Levites to be focused solely on the temple work, nothing else, okay? And teaching the people the law, teaching Israel the law, right? Now, we have verse 23. "But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear their iniquity. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel they have no inheritance." The Levites, but the tithes, the 10% of what? We're going to find out. "But the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as an heave offering unto the Lord, I have given to the Levites to inherit. Therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Thus speak unto the Levites, and say unto them, When ye take of the children of Israel the tithes which I have given you from them for your inheritance, then ye shall offer up an heave offering of it for the Lord, even a 10th part of the tithe." Keep this all in mind, brothers and sisters. Okay? So, from what we've reading so far, the Lord is saying, okay, Levi, you don't have no inheritance amongst the other tribes of Israel. I want you to focus on the temple work. They're going to bring you a tithe. When they bring you a tithe, I want you to take a 10th off of what they give you and dedicate it to me. That's what he said, right? Now, verse 27. "And this your heave offering shall be reckoned unto you as though it were the corn of the threshing floor, and as the fullness of the winepress. Thus ye also shall offer an heave offering unto the Lord of all your tithes, which ye receive of the children of Israel. And ye shall give thereof the Lord's heave offering to Aaron the priest. Out of all your gifts ye shall offer every heave offering of the Lord, of all the best thereof, even the hallowed part thereof, out of it. Therefore thou shalt say unto them, When ye have heaved the best thereof from it, then it shall be counted unto the Levites as the increase of the threshing floor, and as the increase of the winepress. And ye shall eat it in every place, ye and your households. For it is your reward for your service in the tabernacle of the congregation. And ye shall bear no sin by reason of it, when ye have heed from it the best of it. Neither shall ye pollute the holy things of the children of Israel, lest ye die. That's plain and simple, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 12. Deuteronomy 12 and verse 5. So the Lord said this is going to be your reward for your service in the tabernacle. The other tribes of Israel going to bring this tithe to you. When they bring a tithe to you, you're going to take a tenth off what they gave you, and you're going to offer it up to me. And then you're going to eat and you're going to rejoice. Right? This is simplicity, brothers and sisters. I mean, come on. And ain't nothing changed. Because the Most High himself said, I, the Lord, change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. That's why we're still here. Okay? But Deuteronomy 12 and verse 5, it say, but unto the place which the Lord your God shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, Jerusalem, 2 Chronicles 6 and 6, even unto his habitation shall ye seek, and thither thou shalt come. And thither ye shall bring your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and heave offerings of your hand, and your vows, and your freewill offerings, and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks. And there ye shall eat before the Lord your God, and ye shall rejoice in all that ye put your hand unto, ye and your households, wherein the Lord thy God hath blessed thee. Ye shall not do after all the things that we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. And this is what we need to do today, Israel. We need to stop doing what we think is right in our own eyes, making up stuff. This is backwards, man. If the Most High was down here right now, he will rebuke a lot of people. A lot of us. Because we're doing things that we think is right and not according to the word. And then we're trying to have innocent mind about things. And it's backwards. It says, for ye are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which the Lord your God giveth you. But when you go over Jordan and dwell in the land which the Lord your God giveth you to inherit, and when he giveth you rest from all your enemies round about, so that ye dwell in safety, then there shall be a place which the Lord your God shall choose to cause his name to dwell there, Jerusalem. Thither shall ye bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, your tithes, and the heave offering of your hand, and all your choice vows which ye vow unto the Lord. Plain and simple. Plain and simple, brothers and sisters. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 9. And I want to say this too. I give much respect to the elders, okay, that have been teaching the word for some time, okay. I give much respect to them. However, all I'm doing today, that's why I'm not calling no names, because all I'm doing today is cutting the doctrine down. That doctrine is false. That we supposed to tithe, but that somehow God changed what the tithe, what he said it was, into money. But there's no verse that says that. That's what I'm attacking. So, like I said, I give much respect to the elders. But again, wrong is wrong. You know, and I'm not rebuking no elder, but I'm just saying wrong is wrong, plain and simple. It don't matter who it is. Okay. 1 Corinthians 9 and verse 11. Now this is in the testimony, the New Testament, right? And you know, we need to understand something. We're not in the New Testament yet. We're not fully into it. We're transitioning, brothers and sisters. Because when the New Testament is fully come, then nobody's gonna have need to teach one another anymore about the Word of God, about the laws. Because everybody gonna know the Lord for themselves, the book say. The law is gonna be in our hearts. That's what the Lord said in Jeremiah. He said, the day is coming, I'm going to make a new covenant with the house of Jacob, with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. So when we go to the wilderness and he bring us back to the covenant, per Ezekiel 20, that's when we're going to be fully into the New Testament. We transitioning. Okay? So, 1 Corinthians 9 and verse 11. 1 Corinthians 9, in verse 11. It says, if we have sown unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we shall reap your carnal things? If others be partakers of this power over you, are not we rather? Nevertheless, we have not used this power, but suffer all things, lest we should hinder the gospel of Christ. So the apostles they had the mindset of, man, look, we could ask you guys for money, since we're teaching you the word of God now. But because we don't want you to think that we're doing this for the money, for filthy lucre's sake, we're not going to ask you for no money. Because it might hinder the gospel of Christ. You might turn away from Jesus simply because the preacher asking you for money. In the wrong way, might I add. Because if they just came out and said, look, we done got this building. I know y'all wasn't involved in deciding whether or not we was going to have this building, but we do got to pay these bills for this building. So if you could lend a helping hand, a couple bucks here and there, hey, we'll really appreciate it. That way we could keep coming here on the Sabbath day, or we can keep coming here for the feast days, whatever. Be honest. Be honest. But instead, they'll guilt trip you in the word and say, well, see, we're supposed to tithe and the Lord changed the tithe into money because we can't offer, cattle and fruits and vegetables no more. But you didn't show me one verse in the Bible that said God changed it from what he said it is into money. You ain't showed me one verse. That's the problem. So why not those of us that's teaching the word be like the apostles? Have that mindset. I ain't gonna ask nobody for no money. If you want to donate, look, keep your money and give it to the poor that's among you. Because the Lord said you always gonna have the poor among you. The Lord even said that. He said, if I was hungry, I wouldn't even tell you. He said, I own a cattle on 1,000 hills. The whole earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, brothers and sisters. He don't need nothing from us. But the one thing he requires from us is to be obedient to him. Let me continue Psalm rambling. Verse 13. Do ye not know that they which minister about holy things live of the things of the temple? And they which wait at the altar are partakers with the altar? Even so hath the Lord ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. But I have used none of these things, neither have I written these things that it should be so done unto me, for it were better for me to die than any man should make my glory in void. For though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of, for necessity is laid upon me. Woe is unto me if I preach not the gospel. That's how I feel. And sometimes I take little wilderness breaks, like the master. Sometimes the master go into the woods and be in solitude for a little bit, praying and fasting, seeking the Father. That's why if you notice on Facebook, sometimes I take breaks and I don't post videos. Nevertheless, verse 17, for if I do this thing willingly, I have a reward. But if against my will a dispensation of the gospel is committed unto me, what is my reward then? Verily that when I preach the gospel, I may make the gospel of Christ without charge, that I abuse not my power in the gospel. So wait a minute. So the Apostle Paul thought it was wrong. Let's go to Psalm 112. I'm sorry. Psalm 112. He thought it was wrong to charge to hear the gospel. But we got some of these camps out here that's charging people to hear the gospel. And where's the brothers and sisters that's crying out against this? That's what I'm struggling to find out. And the Lord know if I'm speaking too high right now. I think that I'm speaking humbly. I would hope that I'm speaking humbly. I'm telling you guys the truth. I ain't seen nobody really crying out saying, Oh, why is this camp charging people to hear the word? Why is this camp doing this and doing that? Strange stuff. But somebody got to call it out. Like I said, hey, the Lord know I'm willing. I want to be used for righteousness, not for wickedness. Okay? But Psalm 112, it say, praise ye the Lord. Blessed is the man that feareth the Lord, that delighteth greatly in his commandments. The first, I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying it to it stick. The first commandment, brothers and sisters, is not out of the 10. The first commandment is to believe in the Son of God. That's the first commandment. Faith comes first. And that is a commandment. I can show you in the word where God said he have commanded all men to repent and believe in Jesus Christ. Then you start keeping the commandments, the other commandments. Verse 2, his seed shall be mighty upon earth. The generation of the upright shall be blessed. Wealth and riches shall be in his house, and his righteousness endureth forever. Unto the upright there ariseth light in the darkness. He is gracious and full of compassion and righteous. A good man showeth favor and lendeth. He will guide his affairs with discretion. Surely he shall not be moved forever. The righteous shall be in everlasting remembrance. He shall not be afraid of evil tidings or bad news. His heart is fixed, trusting in the Lord. His heart is established. He shall not be afraid until he see his desire upon his enemies. He hath dispersed. He hath given to the poor. He hath given to the poor. To the poor. His righteousness endureth forever. His horn shall be exalted with honor. The wicked shall see it and be grieved. He shall gnash with his teeth and melt away. The desire of the wicked shall perish. We getting somewhere, brothers and sisters. Just be patient. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 8. 2 Corinthians 8. And we also going to read chapter 9 too. So let me pick up the pace. Okay, 2 Corinthians 8 and verse 1. Moreover, brethren, we do you to wit of the grace of God bestowed on the churches of Macedonia. How that in a great trial of affliction the abundance of their joy and of their deep poverty abounded unto the riches of their liberty. Y'all know what that word is. For to their power I bear record, yea, and beyond their power they were willing of themselves, praying us with much entreaty that we will receive the gift and take upon us the fellowship of the ministering to the saints. So who we supposed to, when we giving, doing alms, who we supposed to take care of? We're supposed to take care of family first. Who's family? Fellow saints. Poor saints. Yes, saints can be poor. Yes, that's true. Okay? We can't be super saints in our brains thinking that, because we serve God, we just going to be abounding in everything. Paul said, I've learned to be content in whatever state I find myself, whether having much or having little. We need to practice this. So you minister to the saints first and foremost. If the saints ain't lacking nothing, then you go to the poor on the streets. Plain and simple. Verse 5. And this they did not as we hoped, but first gave their own selves to the Lord and unto us by the will of God, insomuch that we desired Titus, that as he had begun, so he would also finish in you the same grace also. Therefore, as ye abound in everything, in faith and utterance and knowledge and in all diligence and in your love to us, see that ye abound in this grace also. What are you talking about? He's talking about that money. Why? Because we know we need money to survive. We need money to pay for necessities. That's a no-brainer. But let's just don't twist God's word to get that money. Let's just be honest. Huh? We're supposed to be a new creature in Christ and all that. Let's be honest. It says, verse 8, I speak not by commandment, but by occasion of the frowardness of others, and to prove the sincerity of your love. For ye know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, God is rich, and Jesus Christ is God. He part of the Godhead. For your sakes he became poor, that ye through his poverty might be rich. And herein I give my advice, for this is expedient for you, who have begun before not only to do, but also to be forward a year ago. Now therefore perform the doing of it, that as there was a readiness to will, so there may be a performance also out of that which ye have, the money. Let's take care of these poor saints together, that God be glorified and that these saints be taken care of, so that they can minister to other saints. And if there's no need again in the body, if no saints is lacking, then we can go to the sinners on the streets and take care of them, because we always gonna have poor amongst us. Even in God, even in Christ's kingdom, brothers and sisters, it's gonna be poor people all around the world, because Jesus said He gonna leave them there. Verse 12. For if there be first a willing mind, it is accepted according to that a man hath, and not according to that he hath not. For I mean not that the other men be eased and ye burdened, but by inequality, that now at this time your abundance may be a supply for their want, that their abundance also may be a supply for your want, that there may be equality. Just like we just read, he said, look, if we preaching the gospel to you, what's it to you if we ask you for a little bit of change? But we don't want you to think we doing this for filthy lucre, so we're not even going to ask you for no money. And if you're a brother teaching a word, you shouldn't be asking nobody for money. As far as saying, look, tithe to me, I need your donations. No, we don't. The Lord will supply all our wants and all our needs in Christ Jesus. That's what the book says. Verse 15. As it is written, he that had gathered much had nothing over, and he that had gathered little had no lack. That's in the book of Exodus, if I'm not mistaken, when they was in the wilderness. It might be in the book of Numbers, now that I think about it, when they was gathering the manna. Verse 16. But thanks be to God, which put the same earnest care into the heart of Titus for you. Let me backtrack, because I lost my thought. Those of us brothers that's teaching the word, we don't need to be asking nobody for money, man. God will take care of all our needs. He'll take care of it. We just got to believe. We got to have faith. There's nothing wrong with supporting each other. But I'm going at the throat of this doctrine, which is you got to tithe to me. You must support my ministry. No, you don't. If the Lord ain't put it on your heart, you ain't got to give me jack squat, and I will be fine. I will be okay. And how do I know this to be true? Because the master himself was not doing that. The master had a money bag, but that was just in case somebody wanted to donate. But you never seen the master ask nobody for nothing. He ain't asked nobody for no money, ever. And if you don't believe me, go back and read the 4 accounts of his ministry. And read the letters of the apostles, to the other saints. Jesus ain't never asked nobody for no pennies. And neither should we, because we're not better than the master. For indeed he accepted the exhortation, but being more forward of his own accord he went unto you. And we have sent with him the brother whose praise is in the gospel throughout all the churches. And not that only, but who was also chosen of the churches to travel with us in this grace, which is administered by us to the glory of the same Lord in declaration of your ready mind. Avoiding this, that no man should blame us in this abundance, which is administered by us. We preaching the word to you. It shouldn't be a big deal if I ask you for some pennies. If I ask you for some pennies, it shouldn't be a big deal. You should be willing. If I'm giving you this word and I'm teaching you the truth, you shouldn't have a problem giving me some money if I ask you, if I'm in real need. But I'm also not going to abuse my power that I have in that. So for me personally, I don't ask somebody for no money. If people give me money, that's because that's what they wanted to do. And I'll receive that. But I'm not going to take it in the context of if somebody want to give me some money because I'm bringing this truth out and they giving me hush money. They want me to stop talking. Nah, that's not going to work neither, because I know what the word of God says. But I work. And so by me working, the Lord provides me and my family with everything that we need. And anything that I have, that me and my family have extra, that's because the Lord just blessed us with that. But all our needs is met. So understand what I'm saying, brothers and sisters. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be willing to donate or support your brothers and sisters that's doing ministry work. I'm saying don't call it a tithe, because that's not what it is. I'm saying what the book is saying, and we're going to finish reading this and you'll understand. Verse 21, providing for honest things, not only in the sight of the Lord, but also in the sight of men. I'm going to come back to that. And we have sent with them our brother, whom we have oftentimes proved diligent in many things, but now much more diligent upon the great confidence which I have in you. Whether any do inquire of Titus, he is my partner and fellow helper concerning you. Or our brethren be inquired of, they are the messengers of the churches in the glory of Christ. Wherefore show ye to them and before the churches the proof of your love and of our boasting on your behalf. Paul telling these saints in Macedonia, he like, look, man, I've been talking y'all up, man, about how y'all like to give, and support. Don't let me down, man. I've been talking y'all up to these brothers. Don't let me down, man. When they come, make sure y'all look out for these brothers. It's nothing wrong with doing it that way. But guilt tripping people and twisting the words, saying, yeah, you're supposed to tithe. God changed it into money now. And you got to give 10%. That's guilt tripping people, man. That's grudgingly or out of necessity. That's not freely giving, being a cheerful giver. I'm coming to your Sabbath class and you telling me I got to give you 10% every time I come. No, that's not me being a cheerful giver. That's me feeling like I'm under a yoke. I'm under bondage. Because I'm not doing it because I want to do it. I'm doing it because you told me that I got to do it. It's different. It's way different than what it used to be. And we're going to see that. Chapter 9. For it's touching the ministering to the saints, it is superfluous for me to write to you. For I know the forwardness of your mind, for which I boast of you to them of Macedonia, that Achaia was ready a year ago, and your zeal have provoked very many. Yet have I sent the brethren, lest our boasting of you should be in vain in this behalf, that, as I said, ye may be ready. Lest happily, if they of Macedonia come with me and find you unprepared, we, that we say not ye, should be ashamed in this same confident boasting. Therefore I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren, that they would go before unto you and make up beforehand your bounty, your money, whereof ye had noticed before, that the same might be ready as a matter of bounty and not as of covetousness. We don't need this money, but we're asking you to look out because we know you got it like that. And we're not asking for all your money. We're asking for a little bit. That's what Paul's saying. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly. So if you give a little bit to poor people, the Lord will bless you with a little bit back. If you give much to a poor person, the Lord will look out for you. And he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Even when you're looking out for fellow saints, if you penny pinch him, the Lord gonna penny pinch it back to you. If you give in abundance to fellow saints for ministry work or whatever, because you want to do it, not because you feel obligated to do it, the Lord gonna look out for you. Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. That's why I said back in the old days it was something different. They was commanded, it was a law. You're going to give 10%, bam. To the Levites, bam. They're going to take a tenth off of that, dedicated to the Most High. That was a law. Since we transitioning into the new covenant, and plus because Israel, because we scattered to the four corners, who's Levi? Do Levi really know who he is? None of the tribes know who we are right now. We just coming back into our heritage. And if we're going to do tithing correctly, we really supposed to be taking fruits and vegetables and livestock to the priests, to the Levites. That's what we're really supposed to be doing. But seeing as how that's not what we're doing these days, you take your money and you can look out for some saints. You take your money, you can look out for the poor. You don't need a middleman to do that. And really, and I'm just going to give a spoiler alert, but really, The tithe was welfare a long time ago. That's all it was. It was welfare. Plain and simple. So Paul said, every man is according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. You're not supposed to feel obligated to do it. It's if you want to do it. And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. As it is written, he hath dispersed abroad, he hath given to the poor, his righteousness remaineth forever. Now he that ministereth seed to the sower, both minister bread for your food, and multiply your seed sown, and increase the fruits of your righteousness, being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causeth through us thanksgiving to God. For the administration of this service not only supplieth the want of the saints, but is abundant also by many thanksgivings unto God. While by the experiment of this ministration they glorify God for your professed subjection unto the gospel of Christ, and for your liberal distribution unto them and unto all men, and by their prayer for you, which long after you for the exceeding grace of God in you. Thanks be unto God for his unspeakable gift. Giving. The whole word summed up is do more for others than you do for yourself. Really. Because God have done it for us. Let's go to Proverbs 3. We're going to check out one of these places they like to go to and say, well, see, the Lord said right here. Yeah, but that's not what he meant. That's what you mean for it to mean, but that ain't what the Lord is saying. Proverbs 3 and verse 9. Honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So when you get your paycheck, just don't be stingy with your paycheck. Don't go splurge all on yourself. Consider poor saints. And if there's no saints that need help in that time, then look out for some poor people in your neighborhood with that extra money you got. If you feel like you want to give to a congregation, you do that. But all I'm saying is don't be under no yoke. Don't feel obligated, like, oh, don't feel bad if you don't give them money. You must not feel bad about this. Because we can't read this in the word where the Lord said we have to do that. And that's what I'm saying. Verse 10. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. You take care of other people, the Lord will take care of you. Of course, you got to be straight too, though. You know. Let's go to Haggai. Haggai chapter 1 and verse 1. I remember I was talking with a Sunday pastor some years ago. And he was like, well, if I don't ask for tithes, I was calling him out on that. And he was like, well, if I don't ask for tithes, how I'm going to pay you for the building? I said, but did the Lord really tell you go get a building, though? And then he's like, yeah, but how I'm going to take care of my family? Well, look, where's your faith at, man? You don't have faith the Most High going to take care of you in your house if you're doing his will? You're not going to have the luxuries that everybody else got, but, hey, all your needs are going to be taken care of. And how do you know the Most High might not give you some luxuries just for being a faithful servant? But when you try to take his word and twist it to get what you want, the Lord going to reprove you behind. Because he said, don't add to his word lest he reprove you and you be found liar. Haggai 1 and verse 1. In the second year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, in the first day of the month, came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua the son of Josedek, the high priest, saying, thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, this people say the time is not come, the time that the Lord's house should be built. Then came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet, saying, is it time for you, O ye, to dwell in your sealed houses, and this house lie waste? Now therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe ye, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put into a bag with holes. Now why he didn't say, well, let me not say that. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways, go up to the mountain and bring wood and build a house, and I will take pleasure in it, and I will be glorified, saith the Lord. Ye looked for much, and lo, it came to little. And when ye brought it home, I did blow upon it. Why, saith the Lord of hosts? Because of mine house that is waste, and ye run every man unto his own house. Therefore the heaven over you is stayed from dew, and the earth is stayed from her fruit. And I called for a drought upon the land, and upon the mountains, and upon the corn, and upon the new wine, and upon the oil, and upon that which the ground bringeth forth, and upon men, and upon cattle, and upon all the labor of the hands. Then Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel and Joshua the son of Jostack the high priest with all the remnant of the people obeyed the voice of the Lord their God and the words of Haggai the prophet, as the Lord their God had sent him, and the people did fear before the Lord. Then spake Haggai the Lord's messenger in the Lord's message unto the people, saying, I am with you, saith the Lord. And the Lord stirred up the spirit of Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and the spirit of Joshua the son of Jostack the high priest, and the spirit of all the remnant of the people, and they came and did work in the house of the Lord of hosts their God, in the 24th day of the 6th month in the 2nd year of Darius the king. Now, what we need to understand is, this is not about Israel in captivity building little sanctuaries where they can meet up and worship the Lord on the Sabbath day. This is about the Lord's actual house in the land of Jerusalem. That's what this is about. But they will use this and say, see, we worried about our own houses. We in captivity, Israel. The Lord ain't told us that we had to go out and build no buildings to fellowship, to meet with other saints and worship him. He didn't tell us we had to do that. But I understand why they so against home fellowship or house fellowship on the Sabbath day. I understand. But we know through the word, not through what people say and what they think and feel, but what the word says. We know the Most High put his name in Jerusalem. That's what his word says. So Haggai 1 ain't got nothing to do with they little sanctuaries that they built, they synagogues that they built, and they want you to come and join to them so that you can help pay for the bills in that building. But I ain't have nothing to do with when y'all went and got the building, so I don't owe you nothing to pay for this building. But that's why I'm telling you that they try to guilt trip you into giving them money. And come on, this is foolishness. Let's go to Isaiah 55. The Lord ain't told us we had to do that. Isaiah 55 and verse 1. Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye buy and eat. Yeah, come buy wine and milk without money and without price, because this word is supposed to be free. I can speak for myself. If you hear me talking about the word, teaching on the Lord's Sabbath day, on the holy days, hey, I'm not charging nobody for nothing. I'm not asking you for a penny because I don't need it. If I need it, I'll ask. But I don't need it. And I'm not saying this to be condescending or disrespectful to nobody. I'm saying people saying things the wrong way. We're not under this new covenant that we transitioning into. You can't read one passage in the New Testament that tells you that you still got a tithe. Or better yet, that the tithe have changed from what it originally is into money now. You can't read that. There's no verse that says it. This word supposed to be free. But if the teachers want to ask for money, they can do that. Just don't say the Lord is saying that I have to get money from you. Because again, none of us Israelites know that we from the tribe of Levi or not. None of us know that. So verse 2, wherefore do you spend money for that which is not bread? Why are you listening to false doctrines? And your labor for that which satisfieth not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat ye that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. Incline your ear and come unto me, hear, and your soul shall live. And I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. And the next chapter we're going to read, you'll see even the strangers can get in on this too. Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader and a commander of the people. Behold, thou shalt call a nation which that thou knowest not. Matter of fact, we're not going to read all of that, because just for the sake of time. Let's go to, we're going to skip down and look at verse 6. It says, seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto the Lord, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. For as the rain cometh down and the snow from heaven, and returneth not thither, but watereth the earth, and maketh it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Let's go to chapter 56 and verse 9. All ye beasts of the field, come to devour, yea, all ye beasts in the forest, all the other nations, come and devour us, Israelites. You know why? Because his watchmen are blind, they are all ignorant, they are all dumb dogs, they cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. Yeah, they are greedy dogs, which can never have enough, and they are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look to their own way, every one for his gain from his quarter. Come ye, say they, I will fetch wine, and we will fill ourselves with strong drink. And tomorrow shall be as this day, and much more abundant. Again, I'm not calling no names, but if the shoe fit, wear it, Cinderella. Plain and simple. Let's go to Micah. Micah chapter 3. It say, hear this, verse 9, I'm sorry. Micah 3 and verse 9. It say, hear this, I pray you, ye heads of the house of Jacob, and princes of the house of Israel, that abhor judgment and pervert all equity. Let me see. Let's skip down to verse 11. The heads thereof judge for reward, and the priests thereof teach for hire, and the prophets thereof divine for money. Yet will they lean upon the Lord and say, is not the Lord among us? None evil can come upon us. The Lord said the heads will judge for reward, bribery, and the priest will teach, or the teachers will teach for money, filthy lucre. Let's go to Matthew 23. We about to get into, and I'm sorry it's taking so long, but we about to get into what exactly is the tithe according to thus saith the Lord, not according to what man say it is. It ain't never changed. Tithing did not change from what it actually is. It has not changed, brothers and sisters. That's why we're not tithing today. We are doing alms today, giving today. And that is what the principle of tithing is all about. It's about giving to the less fortunate. It was welfare. Matthew 23 and verse 14. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayer. Therefore ye shall receive the greater damnation. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye compass sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves, because you give him bad doctrine. That's why. Bad doctrine. And then you guilt trip them so that they don't even want to listen to the Spirit of the Most High no more. The Lord be trying to teach them his word, but they so afraid of you, they won't even listen to God. They'll stick to the doctrine that you told them. Verse 23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin. Wait a minute. Why he didn't say you pay tithes of 10% of your money, your wages? Why he didn't say that? He said, for ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. I know one thing for sure. Mint, anise, and cumin is spices used for cooking. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? We're going to find out. Let's go to Deuteronomy 18. Deuteronomy 18. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Deuteronomy 18 and verse 1. The priests, the Levites, and all the tribe of Levi shall have no part nor inheritance with Israel. They shall eat the offerings of the Lord made by fire and his inheritance. Therefore shall they have no inheritance among their brethren. The Lord is their inheritance, as he hath said unto them. And this shall be the priest's due from the people, from them that offer a sacrifice, whether it be ox or sheep. And they shall give unto the priest the shoulder and the 2 cheeks and the maw, which is the jawbone, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. The first fruit also of thy corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil, and the first of the fleece of thy sheep shalt thou give him. That's the tithe. For the Lord thy God hath chosen him out of all thy tribes to stand to minister in the name of the Lord, him and his sons forever. Of course, that's not going on right now, because the Levitical priesthood it's on recess till Messiah come back. Okay, let's go to Luke 6:38. It's on recess. What that mean is, ain't nobody bringing tithes to Levi, because don't nobody know who Levi is these days. Okay, all us Negroes know is that we the children of Israel, and we got family all over the world. However, we don't know what tribe we come from. Not until the Lord brings us to the wilderness. If we be blessed to make it in that day. So, but the Lord said all of that stuff is supposed to go to the Levites, right? That's the tithe. Luke 6 and verse 38. It say, give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, and shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that ye meet withal, it shall be measured to you again. That is plain and simple. Give, right? I'm not speaking against giving. I'm speaking against tithing. Because where's the transition, brothers and sisters? Just like when they tell us we evolved from monkeys. Where's the transition? Show me some proof. You telling me we're supposed to tithe, but you ain't showed me one verse where it said, thus saith the Lord, the tithe is changed into money. Or even a hint that it's been changed into money now. There's no verse. That means somebody's wrong. And what's called for when we're wrong about things, brothers and sisters, it ain't the end of the world for us. All we got to do is humble ourselves and repent. Just repent. Mark 12, because the Lord said we're going to be judged on every idle word. That's what he said. And look, I've been wrong about plenty in my life since I started following Jesus. I know I'm going to continue to be wrong about some things because we know in part, we see in part, we understand in part, we prophesy in part. I get that. But we got to do better, Israel. We got to do better, man. We can get our butts together before the Lord come. We can do it. We can do all things through Christ. So let us come together and reason. Mark 12 and verse 41. And it say, and Jesus sat over against the treasury and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury. And many that were rich cast in much. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto him his disciples, and saith unto them, verily I say unto you that this poor widow hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. Why are we looking at that? Because obviously, when you have a synagogue or a temple or a building for the saints to meet up, to keep Sabbath or the holy days, obviously you got to pay for the building. Obviously. That's obvious. But why not just ask for that? Why not be honest and say, look, we got this building. I know y'all ain't have nothing to do with us getting this building, but we figured it'd be a good idea. But look, we got to pay bills. Here's the list of how much everything costs: the light bill, the energy bill, the water bill, etc. Here, look, just do what you can do, saints, so we can come keep meeting here. Why not be honest instead of guilt tripping the people and saying God requires that you give 10% of your money? The people coming and they forcing themselves to be cheerful about something that originally they're not cheerful about doing because it feels like a burden. What happened if you get sick and you miss days from work and your paycheck is short, but you got to pay your bills in your house? But then you come in a Sabbath class and they asking you for money. What you going to do then? I even heard one of the teachers from the Sabbath, one of these Sabbath classes, and he said, you know, we're set up, we're supposed to, you know, we're able to help, you know, the poor and everybody and the saints, you know, that's lacking. And he said, but if you're not tithing, he said, because we got to look at the list. And if you're not tithing, he said, you know, we want to help, but we can't. What? And he said, look, we can give you a number that you can call, you know, and they might be able to assist you. What? Is this what the master told us to do? Is this found in the apostles' doctrine that they learned from Messiah? Come on now. So it's obvious if you got a building, obviously you got bills to pay in that building. But what I'm saying, brothers and sisters, is don't expect saints to come to your building and you're going to guilt trip them with this word. You're going to twist the word, guilt trip them, make them feel bad for not giving you money to help you pay for the bills for this building when they got to pay for where they live at. That is ludicrous. And then you make them feel bad if they don't give you money. Come on, man. That's why I said I want to just read the book. I did this lesson before. I'm doing it again. You know, I'm just adding some stuff to it. Some more verses. Let's go to Psalms verse 4 and verse 5. Psalms chapter 4 verse 5. It say, offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in the Lord. That's what it say. Let's go to Acts 20 and verse 35. We almost done now. Acts 20 and 35. Acts 20 and 35. I have showed you all things, how that so laboring ye ought to support the weak. By you working, my brother, by you working, my sister, even if the sister's a stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home mom, look, there's work to be done in the house too. And the aged women, they supposed to be teaching the younger women, just like the aged men supposed to be an example in teaching us young men. So Paul says, I have showed you all things, how that so laboring ye ought to support the weak, and to remember the words of the Lord Jesus, how he said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. That's what the Most High said. Huh? Let's go to Deuteronomy 14. Now we're about to get into the meat. We almost done. We got a couple verses left. But we're going to find out exactly what is the tithe, how the thing was set up. This is going to be reinstituted when the Lord come back. So it's good we get the information and understand what was going on. But we also must be wise and not let deception consume us. We can't let nobody deceive us. That's what the Lord said. No man, take heed that no man deceive you. Deuteronomy 14 and 22. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed that the field bring forth year by year. Not every week, not every 2 Sabbaths, year by year. And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose to place his name there. So you eating money now, huh? And then he said in the place where he choose to put his name at, which is Jerusalem, according to God's word. I heard what the brother said. Oh, we know the Lord put his name with us. Okay, that's what you said, but that ain't in his word though. It say to place his name there, the tithe of thy corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil, and the firstlings of thy herds, and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always. So what is the tithe again? It is the corn, the wine, the oil, and the firstlings of the flocks and herds. Interesting. 24. And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there, which is Jerusalem, when the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, then shalt thou turn it into ox, into sheep. Is that what it said? It said into money. Into money, and bind up the money in thine hand, and shall go into the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. So if the Lord changed the tithe from fruits and veggies and livestock into money, where is the verse at? Where's the precept at? Where are you getting this from? Because even when the Lord is talking about the tithe in the same chapter, he's talking about if the way is too far for you to get there. This is dealing with the feast days. But he said, if the way is too far for you to get there, to bring this to Jerusalem, I want you to exchange all that you got for some money. And get the money in your hand. Once you get to Jerusalem, you can buy all that stuff back. Simplicity. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice, thine and thine household. And the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part nor inheritance with thee. At the end of 3 years, thou shalt bring forth all the tithe of thine increase the same year, and shalt lay it up within thy gates. And the Levite, because he hath no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within thy gates, meaning living amongst you, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the work of thine hand which thou doest. So the Lord said at the end of every year, you're supposed to bring the tithe to Jerusalem, the actual tithe, not money, the actual tithe to Jerusalem, right? If you bring in all your stuff, your wine, your oil, your corn, your herds and your flocks, if you bring in all that to Jerusalem, but it's too far for you to get there, carrying all this stuff, change all of that for money. Take the money, get to Jerusalem. Once you get to Jerusalem, buy all that stuff that you sold back for the feast day. And at the end of every 3 years, you're supposed to open the floodgates, basically. Open the storehouse. Where the storehouse at? You're supposed to open the storehouse and let the fatherless, the widows, the stranger, and the Levites, again, we don't know who Levi is, you're supposed to let them all come in and eat and celebrate. But this isn't what's going on. This ain't what's going on, though. Somebody been misunderstanding, brothers and sisters. That's all I'm saying. But we can repent. We're going to be wrong about some stuff, right? When we find out the truth, we got to repent. We got to be zealous and repent. Let's go to chapter 26 and verse 12. We got like 7 more, and then we're done. 26 and verse 12. And it says, when thou hast made an end of tithing, all the tithes of thine increase the 3rd year, which is the year of tithing, and hast given it unto the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat within thy gates and be filled, then thou shalt say before the Lord thy God, I have brought away the hallowed things out of mine house, and also have given them unto the Levite, and unto the stranger, to the fatherless, and to the widow, according to all thy commandments which thou hast commanded me. I have not transgressed thy commandments, neither have I forgotten them. I have not eaten thereof in my mourning, neither have I taken away aught thereof for any unclean use, nor given aught thereof for the dead. But I have hearkened to the voice of the Lord my God, and have done according to all that thou hast commanded me. Look down from thy holy habitation from heaven, and bless thy people Israel, and the land which thou hast given us, as thou swearest unto our fathers, a land that floweth with milk and honey. So when we do it the right way, then we can say that. If you want to be technical, if we're going to speak the truth, let's speak the truth straightway. Don't add, don't take away. What is the tithe? The tithe is corn, oil, wine, flocks, and herds. It's a 10% of all of that stuff. And that 10% is supposed to come from 11 tribes worth of Israel. That's a lot of tithes at the end of every year. And it will be so much that by the end of every 3 years, all these people will be able to eat and celebrate before the Lord in Jerusalem. So what are we doing these days? Again, going back to what we read earlier. If a brother is doing ministry work and he needs some money, he needs some financial assistance, let the brother ask. Look, I need some support. I need some help. But brother, please don't guilt trip the people and make them feel bad for not giving you money. Don't use God's word to get what you want. Provide things honest in the sight of God and in all men. Be truthful. Look, I need some help, man. Look, I'm giving you this word. Please help a brother out. The Lord will move somebody to do that for you, brother, if you're teaching the word. But to use the word to guilt trip people into giving you money, when that ain't what God is saying, God is not telling us that we have to tithe money now. He didn't say that. Giving has always been on the table because God loves a cheerful giver. So let's go to 2 Chronicles 31. 2 Chronicles 31. They probably clicked the video off. Can't listen to this Negro. He don't know what he talking about. Okay. Keep being comfortable with the doctrine that you've been taught. Don't never go back and seek the Father and go into the Word. You keep doing what you're doing. You right. 2 Chronicles 31 and verse 1. Now when all this was finished, all Israel that were present went out to the cities of Judah and brake the images in pieces and cut down the groves and threw down the high places and the altars out of all Judah and Benjamin and Ephraim also and Manasseh until they had utterly destroyed them all. Then all the children of Israel returned, every man to his possession, into their own cities. And Hezekiah appointed the courses of the priests and the Levites after their courses, every man according to his service, the priests and Levites for burnt offerings and for peace offerings, to minister and to give thanks and to praise in the gates of the tents of the Lord. He appointed also the king's portion of his substance for the burnt offerings, to wit, for the morning and evening burnt offerings, and the burnt offerings for the Sabbaths, and for the new moons, and for the set feast, as it is written in the law of the Lord. Moreover, he commanded the people that dwelt in Jerusalem to give the portion of the priests and the Levites, that they might be encouraged in the law of the Lord. And as soon as the commandment came abroad, the children of Israel brought in abundance the first fruits of corn, wine, and oil, and honey, and of all the increase of the field, and the tithe of all things brought they in abundantly. And concerning the children of Israel and Judah that dwelt in the cities of Judah, they also brought in the tithe of oxen and sheep, and the tithe of holy things which were consecrated unto the Lord their God, and laid them by heaps. In the 3rd month they began to lay the foundation of the heaps, and finished them in the 7th month. And when Hezekiah and the princes came and saw the heaps, they blessed the Lord and his people Israel. Then Hezekiah questioned with the priests and the Levites concerning the heaps. And Azariah, the chief priest of the house of Zadok, answered him and said, since the people began to bring the offerings into the house of the Lord, the same house of the Lord that the Lord was talking about in Haggai, chapter 1, okay? It wasn't referring to the little sanctuaries we got going now, because the Lord did not tell us that he desired for us to build him a building in our captivity. I ain't saying it's a sin if a brother got a building. I'm saying the Lord didn't tell us that we had to do that. We can do home fellowship on the Lord's Sabbath day. And like I said, I'm going to get into why I understand why some people are so against that. So it says, since the people began to bring the offerings into the house of the Lord, we have had enough to eat and have left plenty. For the Lord hath blessed his people, and that which is left is this great store. Plain and simple, right? Let's go to Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 7 and verse 5. Hebrews 7 and verse 5. So because the way that the tithe was set up was every year, all 11 tribes. Think about how many families that is within the 11 tribes. 11 tribes worth of Israel bringing a tenth, just a tenth of flocks and herds, honey, wine, corn, oil, bringing all that, right, to Jerusalem. They get to Jerusalem, they give all of that to the priests. The priests take a tenth off of all of what they got, give the rest to the high priest. The high priest take a tenth out of all of that, put the rest into the storehouse. They got so much because it's going on every year, at the end of every year, right? So it would be around February when this would be done. February or March, right? Every year. And at the end of every 3 years, they would open the storehouse. The stranger could come get something to eat. The Levites would get something to eat. The fatherless, the widows, and the poor. Do you understand that the Lord set up a welfare system with the tithing system? That's really what it was. It was welfare to look out for the less fortunate, because the Levites was the less fortunate. You understand? Simplicity. Very simple to understand. Hebrews 7 and verse 5. And verily they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is, of their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham. But he whose descent is not counted from them received tithes of Abraham, and blessed him that had the promises. And without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better. Because we read Melchizedek blessed Abram, right? And here, men that die receive tithes, but there he receiveth them, of whom it is witness that he liveth. But what sacrifices do the Most High want? What offering do he want? The sacrifices of righteousness, obedience. Offer up obedience to the Lord. That's what he wants from us. And that don't include who gonna give God our money? It's not about that, see? It's about what you do with the money. Yes, honor the Lord with the first fruit of your substance. How do you do that? Don't be stingy with your money. Honor the Lord with it. See what you can do to help out somebody that's less fortunate than you. Take care of somebody else. See? I ain't saying take care of them for the rest of their life now, unless it calls for that. But I'm saying look out for other people, especially Israel, because we poor, we destitute, we serving our enemies in strange lands in want of everything. Matthew 25, the Lord is talking about, when he come, he going to judge his saints, and he going to judge the sinners at the last day, of course. And he said to his saints, look, because when I was naked, you gave me some clothes. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was in prison and sick, and you visited me. And the saints going to say, when did we do these things for you? He said, when you done it to one of these least my brethren, you've done it unto me. Who's the brethren of Christ after the flesh? Us, Israel. I hope this is making sense. Verse 9. And as I may so say, Levi also, who receiveth tithes, paid tithes in Abraham, for he was yet in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. But if you missed it, go back and read in Genesis. Melchizedek did not command Abram to give him nothing. The Lord didn't set up tithing until he started dealing with the 12 tribes of Israel, our ancestors. And seeing as how Levi has been on recess since Messiah died on that cross that day, who bringing the tithes to the Levites? Where is Levi? Who is Levi? We don't know. That's not going to be revealed to us until we get to the wilderness. So let's don't play games, is my point. Let's go to Matthew 6. And we got 4 more, and then we're done. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 1. Take heed that ye do not your alms before men. So don't be giving to be seen of men. But when you giving 10% of your money to your local congregation, if you're there and they got a little drop box for you to put the money in an envelope that's got all your written information on it, well, you are being seen of somebody. To be seen of them. Otherwise, ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. What need do a teacher of the word have to have a list to see who's tithing and who's not? Who's giving money and who's not? Do it really matter? Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth, that thine alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. Brothers and sisters, where did the Lord say, when you tithe, make sure you do it this way? Why he didn't say that instead of saying, this is how you give? Come on, let's go to Ezekiel 11. Ezekiel 11, and we're going to pick it up at verse 16. Therefore say, thus saith the Lord God, although I've cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. We can keep Sabbath at our house. The Lord is not against that. He was never against that. Never. Go back and check the scriptures if you don't believe me. Let's go to Malachi 3. Malachi 3 and verse 6. He said there'll be a little sanctuary to us. See, I'll wait till I finish the last verse. Malachi 3 and verse 6. It says, "For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Even from the days of your fathers ye are gone away from mine ordinances, and have not kept them. Return unto me, repent, and I will return unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return? What we do wrong? Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings." Right? But do this mean that under Christ's blood, we still, because if we scattered, how are we supposed to bring the tithe to the Levites so that they can do what they're supposed to do? This is, see, when you know the word, you just stick to the Bible. Let the Holy Spirit be your teacher until Messiah come back. The Holy Spirit is going to lead you in the way of truth. That's what the Master said. He's going to bring all things whatsoever Christ have said from the beginning to our remembrance. So, Israel was robbing the Most High a long time ago. Even when you read in the 4 accounts of Jesus' ministry, right, what we call the gospel. But the gospel is really Old Testament. It's here from the beginning. But the point being, remember when Jesus took them cords and was whooping them Israelites out of the temple? You know why? Last night, me and a beloved brother and my wife, we was looking at that. Did you know it was on the Sabbath day when he was whooping them, telling them to get out of the temple? And did you know that a few days from then, a few days after that, was Passover and unleavened bread? So do it make sense now? At the end, during Passover, all Israel would just come to Jerusalem, because you had to have the he lamb without spot or blemish, kept up to the 14th day of sunset, kill it, celebrate the Passover. Then the very next night is unleavened bread. We know Christ was crucified on Wednesday, right? So Israel come to Jerusalem. Some of them had some money. So the priests in them, they was corrupting stuff. They had little tables set up where you could buy, all the stuff, for the feast day and all that. But it's sick and lame animals. You see what I'm saying? And plus because the priests corrupted themselves, like we just read earlier, they wasn't teaching Israel the law. So the 11 tribes start getting off into foolishness, and then you had nobody bringing the tithes. So then the priests eventually left off from servicing the tabernacle, and they start working the field. So who's sacrificing the animals? Who's atoning for Israel's sins? See how everything makes sense? Jesus was mad because they were selling stuff on the Sabbath day, and on top of that, it was sick and defiled animals. That's why he whooped them and told them, get out of here with this. This house is supposed to be a house of prayer for all nations. You made it into a den of thieves. They jacking up the prices. The people coming with their money to buy the stuff for the feast day. And here go the priests selling stuff, but the prices is jacked the hell up. So you can barely afford it. So that they can make a profit. See? So when the Lord say, will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But you say, wherein have we robbed you? In tithes and offerings. But if you know what really happened, you'll understand why he said that. This ain't applying to us right now. Because how are we going to bring the tithes to the Levites and we don't even know who Levi is? Where's the temple at? How are we going to do it and Israel is scattered to the 4 corners, brothers and sisters? How we going to say the Lord changed it into money, but we ain't found one verse yet that say that? Not one. He don't even hint at it. I mean, Lord, at least give us a clue a blues clue, maybe. He ain't even do that. Verse 9, let me continue. Verse 9, it say, ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse. Where is that at? That there may be meat in mine house. Meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven, because we live inside of a dome, and pour you out a blessing. That blessing meaning an abundance of rain, so that your crops spring up. And guess what he says? That there shall not be room enough to receive it, because you're going to have so much crop spring up, because I'm going to bless you if you obey me. You ain't even going to have enough room to put all this stuff. the fruits and the veggies. Your flocks and your herds going to be fat. You see what I'm saying? Verse 11, and I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground. Neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith the Lord of hosts. And all nations shall call you blessed, for ye shall be a delightsome land, saith the Lord of hosts. But if you read the whole book of Malachi, you will understand why the Lord says this in chapter 3. Don't just cherry pick the Bible, man. Read stuff and get an understanding. Let's go to Romans 12. And we got two more after this and then we're done. Romans 12. Godly living. This is what this is. And it includes giving. Verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we, being many, are one body in Christ, and every one members one of another. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the propitiation of faith. Or ministry, let us wait on our ministering. Or he that teacheth, on teaching. Or he that exhorteth, on exhortation. He that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. He that ruleth with diligence, he that showeth mercy with cheerfulness. Let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil, cleave to that which is good. Be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love, in honor preferring one another. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer, distributing to the necessity of saints, given to hospitality. Even the Lord said in the 4 accounts, right? He said, when you make a feast at your house, don't invite people that can pay you back. Invite the poor, the maimed, the sick, the blind, because they can't pay you back. You'll have a reward from your Father in heaven. That's why Paul would say, when you give, let them that give do it in simplicity. Because this thing is so simple, man. Bless them which persecute you. Bless and curse not. Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits. Recompense to no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. So if you want me to help you pay for the building that you went out and got, show me the list of what's to be paid, how much it costs. I need to see that. That way I know exactly what my money's going towards if I'm going to help you. You see what I'm saying? Simplicity, man. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Let's go to chapter 15 and verse 22. We got one more after this. Romans 15 and verse 22. And remember, Paul was talking about to them brothers. He said, I've been talking y'all up to these other brothers. So when I send these brothers to you to pick up the money, because I'm going to head to Jerusalem to drop it off to these poor saints, look, don't let me down. I've been talking y'all up to these brothers, saying how, y'all give so much. Y'all love to give. Look out. Don't let me down. Now we're going to read part of that same little scenario that was going on, or situation rather. Verse 22, it says, for which cause also I have been much hindered from coming to you. He's talking about these saints that's in Rome, okay, these brethren that's in Rome. But now having no more place in these parts, and having a great desire these many years to come unto you, whensoever I take my journey into Spain, I will come to you. For I trust to see you in my journey, and to be brought on my way thitherward by you, if first I be somewhat filled with your company. But now I go unto Jerusalem to minister unto the saints. See? For it hath pleased them of Macedonia and Achaia to make a certain contribution, money, not tithe money, money. The Lord ain't put a limit on how much you give out of your currency, your money. You don't have to give 10%. You give whatever you want. If I want to give to my local congregation that's teaching the right doctrine on the Sabbath day, 1 penny on the Sabbath day, I can do that, and I should not feel ashamed for doing it. If I want to give them $150, I can do that. We don't have to limit our giving to 10%, brothers and sisters. Because when you're looking out for the poor, when you go in your pocket, is you checking like, wait a minute, let me make sure this is 10%. Let me make sure this is a tithe. No. You giving whatever it comes to your mind. Huh? And you don't have to feel bad about that, according to thus saith the Lord. So Paul said, he said, for it has pleased them of Macedonia and Achaia to make a certain contribution for the poor saints which are at Jerusalem. And we read that earlier. It hath pleased them verily, and their debtors they are. For if the Gentiles have been, hold on, let me see where we at. Yeah, no, that was it. We're supposed to stop at 26. Okay, so see the simplicity. Let's go to Matthew 24 and verse 4. This is the last one. Matthew 24 and verse 4. It says, and Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. So that's the lesson. Tithing. I pray we all got some understanding. I pray the Lord was magnified. In Jesus' name, amen. So now I'm going to get into briefly why these big camps is so against home fellowship. Because a lot of these big camps, brothers and sisters, and I leave it to you to investigate, do your own research. The Lord said, study to show ourselves approved unto him, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth, right? So a lot of these big camps is 501c3. And if you don't know what that is, I urge you to investigate it and find out exactly what it is. The same way that they deal with it in these Sunday churches is this. It's no different on these Sabbath classes. It's the same thing going on. And to go out and get a building, being 501c3, well, let me say this. Being 501c3 means that you're limited on what you can talk about. Despite what brothers will say that they're not limited, they are limited. Because in the Sunday camps, they limited on what they can talk about when they 501c3. Because that's part of the contract. So when it comes to going out and getting a building, they don't have to pay property taxes on a lot of these buildings, but they still got to pay the basic utilities for these buildings. That's why they say, well, we got to tithe, because that's how they get the money to pay for the buildings, to pay for the utilities. And so they against home fellowship, because when you do home fellowship, you didn't make a contract with Caesar, with the government. So you can talk about whatever you want to talk about pertaining to the holy word. It don't have to be something that falls in the regulations of not breaking the contract. Because when you do home fellowship, Christ is the head of the church, not man. But when you go 501c3, the government replaces Christ in that order. So again, if you don't know nothing about the 501c3, go check it out for yourself. But that's one of the reasons why they ask for tithes. And I'm not calling names, because I'm not pointing the finger at no brothers particularly. I'm just saying the doctrine is bad. To teach the saints that we're supposed to give 10% of money, you can't read that in the book. That's why it's a bad doctrine. And all we got to do is correct it and just repent and humble ourselves. And there's much more that's going to come shortly after this, if the Lord will. So the Lord be exalted. Grace, peace, and mercy to all you saints out there in Jesus' holy name. Amen.